Most people who hear those words think they understand what that means. He needs time. He's scared of commitment. He's just not in the right headspace. And maybe one of those is true. But for most of you, not ready is not actually a reason. It's a cover story. And behind that cover story are 5 different realities, each one producing a completely different ending. This is what they are, and how to actually know which one you are dealing with. That phrase, "I'm not ready," has become one of the most common rejection frameworks in modern dating. And what makes it so difficult is that it sounds like a timeline issue instead of a compatibility or desire issue. He's not ready yet. Which means if you wait, if you are patient, if you are the right person, maybe readiness will come. That hope is exactly what keeps people stuck. The pattern usually starts quietly. It starts with a conversation that you thought was going somewhere. And then it hits a wall. And the wall has a very specific shape. I care about you, but I'm just not ready for anything serious right now. Or, asterisk, I don't want to lead you on, because I'm not in a place where I can be what you need. Or the slower version, gradual silence. Less initiation. Responses that take hours, then days. And when you finally ask what is happening, the answer is the same. I'm not ready. What most advice will tell you is, respect the boundary. He told you the truth. Believe him. And they are partially right. He did tell you something true, but not the whole truth. And until you know what kind of not ready you are actually dealing with, you cannot make an informed decision about what to do next. This is about the gap between what someone is telling you and what is actually driving their behavior. And once you see that gap, you cannot unsee it. The question we are going to answer is not, should I wait for him to be ready? The question is, what is not ready actually code for? Because if it is fear, the trajectory is different than if it is priority. If it is past trauma, that requires something different than if it is logistics. And if it is self-image, the way he sees himself, that is a completely different situation than if he simply does not want to commit to you. What follows is what you need to know to tell the difference. Reason number 1, he's not ready for himself, not for you. Reason number 2, he is ready, just not with you. And he's hoping you'll wait anyway. Reason number 3, he was ready, until something changed his calculation about the cost. And the reason these distinctions matter is simple. Each one has a different answer. Each one requires a different boundary. And each one produces a different outcome if you stay. Most of these conversations do not start with rejection. They start with connection. You meet someone. There is attraction. There is conversation that feels deeper than surface level. He asks questions. He remembers things you said. There are jokes that land. Plans are made, then kept. And somewhere in that sequence, you start to believe he is different, that this is actually building towards something. And here is the thing about early attraction. It feels like permission to trust. When someone is attentive, when they initiate, when they remember your birthday or the thing you said 3 weeks ago about your family, a nervous system starts to calm down. You start to believe that the other person's consistency is proof that they want what you want. And it might be. But for some people, consistency at the beginning is not consistency of intention. It is consistency of momentum. They are riding the wave of early-stage dopamine and novelty. And they have not yet hit the moment where they have to decide if they actually want to build something or if they just like how the early stage feels. And then comes the moment, it can be weeks in or months, where the conversation changes. Where instead of talking about future plans, he starts talking about uncertainty. Where instead of initiation, there is a kind of passivity, response without action. And if you look back, there are these small signals you did not quite register at the time. The way he changed the subject when you mentioned wanting kids. The slight distance that appeared when you talked about your timeline. Or And this is the one most people miss, a subtle questioning. Not of you, of himself. Do I want this? Am I ready for this? Can I be what someone needs right now? Looking back, the first sign was already there. It just did not look like a warning yet. It looked like him being thoughtful, being honest, being vulnerable about his own doubts. And that is exactly why it lands so hard when he finally says it. Asterisk, I'm not ready. Because you have watched him be present. You have felt him care. And now he is telling you that despite all of that, something inside him is not aligned. And your mind immediately goes to, what if I wait? What if I am patient? What if I prove that I am worth getting ready for? But that is the moment where the standard advice breaks down. Because not ready is not actually a timeline. It is a diagnosis. And the diagnosis has 5 different possible meanings. The first, not ready, is about internal readiness. It is not about you. It is about him not trusting himself yet. This is the person who has been hurt before, who has patterns he does not trust, who is still in therapy working through his own attachment wounds or self-sabotage. When this person says, I'm not ready, what he actually means is, I'm not confident I won't destroy this if I commit to it. He sees the pattern. He does not trust that he has changed. And until he has evidence that he can show up differently, he is doing what feels like the responsible thing, creating distance, protecting you from his own worst fear, that he will hurt you the way he has hurt others or been hurt. Fear of himself. The marker of this reason, he initiates deep conversations. He talks about his own wounds. He seems to care about your well-being despite his own patterns. The conversation rarely blames you. It is always about his own doubt. The second not ready is the most difficult one to hear because it usually comes wrapped in, you are amazing and I care about you, but what it actually means, I am ready for something. I am just not ready for what you are ready for. Maybe you are ready to define the relationship, to introduce him to friends, to talk about next steps. And he is still in the phase where he wants to keep things light, undefined, low stakes. This is not about timeline. This is about whether he ever wants the same level of commitment with you that you want with him. He is ready, just not ready for commitment with you. The marker of this reason, when you ask for clarity, his answer is vague. When you suggest next steps, he does not reject them. He just deflects. Let's just see where this goes. I like where we are right now. Why do we have to label it? The subtext is always, I like the current arrangement. I do not want to change it. And I hope you will stay in this arrangement indefinitely. The third, not ready, appears halfway through. Everything seemed fine. The connection was real. The attraction was there. And then, suddenly, or gradually, he pulls back. What happened is his brain did a cost-benefit analysis. Not consciously, usually,
Momentum.
but his system ran the numbers. Relationship requires time investment,
Building toward
emotional
commitment,
labor,
or just enjoying the
vulnerability,
high?
possible loss of freedom, integration with your life, management of conflict. And his current life is manageable. His friendships are good. His work is engaging. His hobbies feel fulfilling. And
It's
adding a
getting
serious
late.
relationship
I
to
know.
that equation
I'll be home
means
soon.
something has
Promise?
to give.
I
And when he
promise.
looks at what has to give,
We really need
the
to talk
math
about
does
this.
not feel worth it.
I feel
So
like
he
you're
is not
avoiding
ready
it.
to make that trade. He was ready
Please
until
look at
he
me.
realized
It's
what
nothing.
readiness actually costs. The marker of this reason, the pullback, is not gradual. It is a shift. Things were moving forward, and then they were not. When you ask about it, his answer is usually about logistics, timing, or needing space to focus on work/friends/personal goals. It is rarely about you. It is about whether he is willing to reorganize his life to include you. Here is what most people do not talk about when they talk about not ready: the cost of waiting for it to change. Because there is a cost, and it is not abstract. It is measured in your nervous system, in your sleep, in the way you check your phone, in the mental space he occupies when he is not even present. The first cost is that your system does not actually accept the timeline he is offering. You might intellectually accept it. You might tell yourself, I can wait. I can be patient. I can give him space. But your nervous system does not get that memo. Your nervous system knows that a person who is truly interested initiates. A person who is truly interested moves toward you, not away. And when he is moving away while telling you he cares, your attachment system goes into a specific state, hypervigilance. You become hypersensitive to his cues. You read into his messages. You feel the relief intensely when he reaches out, and the devastation intensely when he withdraws. This is not neediness. This is your system accurately reading that something is incongruent. He is saying one thing, and his behavior is saying something else. The second cost is that you stop asking for what you actually want. You shrink the request. You make yourself smaller. Instead of, I want to meet your friends, you ask, do you want to grab coffee? Instead of, I want you to text me good night. You wait for him to do it and feel grateful when he does. You are not being more attractive by accommodating less. You are training yourself to expect less, and you are training him to offer less. Because the pattern that gets rewarded is the pattern that repeats. The third cost, and this is the one that compounds, is that you do not actually know if anything is going to change. He said he is not ready, but ready is not a destination he reaches by a certain date. Ready is a choice he makes when the cost-benefit analysis shifts in favor of commitment. And for that to shift, usually something has to shift first. His priorities have to change. His life circumstances have to change. His feelings have to deepen into a place where the cost of losing you outweighs the cost of reorganizing his life. Or, and this happens too, he shifts, and then in 6 months or a year, you find out that what shifted was his readiness to commit. Just not to you. He was not ready while he was deciding if he wanted this. And it turned out he did want it, with someone else. None of these costs are his fault. He did not write the neurobiology that makes uncertainty painful for you. He did not design the system where waiting for someone to be ready keeps you in a low commitment state while your nervous system is in high alert state. But understanding the cost is the first step to deciding if that is a trade you are willing to make. Here is what changes when you stop waiting for someone to be ready and you start asking them to clarify what not ready actually means. The conversation becomes honest. Because instead of accepting the cover story, you are asking him to name the actual mechanism. And most of the time, he cannot do it, because he has not named it to himself. Here is what that conversation sounds like. When you say you are not ready, I want to understand what that means specifically. Are you not ready because you do not trust yourself in a committed relationship? Are you not ready because you do not want commitment with me specifically? Are you not ready because you are not willing to reorganize your priorities to make space for a relationship? Or is there something else I am not seeing? And then, this is important, you wait for the answer. You do not fill the space. You do not offer him an escape route. You sit with the silence. And what he says in response will tell you everything you need to know. Because if he is truly uncertain about himself, he will say so. If he knows he does not want what you want, he might finally say that. If he is unwilling to make the trade, he might admit it. Or he might realize, in that moment of being asked directly, that he is not being honest. Not with you, but with himself. I need to understand what not ready actually means. Can we talk about that? And here is the bigger truth underneath this entire conversation. Not ready is often not a timeline issue. It is a compatibility issue wearing a timeline disguise. Because a person who wants you, truly wants you, not the idea of you, but you specifically, finds a way to be ready. A person who is afraid of his own patterns will do the work. A person who has competing priorities will rearrange them, or he will not. A person who is not sure if he wants commitment will figure it out, or he will not. But none of that requires you to wait. None of that requires you to make yourself smaller. And none of that requires you to accept a cover story while his actual answer is still hidden. What it requires is that you ask for clarity, and then that you listen to what clarity sounds like. Sometimes it sounds like, "You are right. I have been avoiding saying this, but I am not ready because I do not see a future with you." And that is terrible to hear, but it is actually the most honest thing he can say. Because now you are not waiting. You are not trying to prove yourself. You are not in hypervigilance. You have information. And information is the only thing that actually allows you to make a choice. The choice to stay or to leave. The choice to ask him to do the work or to find someone who has already done it. The choice to accept the timeline or to not accept it. But you are making the choice. He is not making it for you. And that is where your power is. You are not trying to become ready enough to deserve someone else's readiness. You are asking someone to show you, clearly, directly, and honestly, whether he is actually ready for you. And if he is not, you are giving yourself permission to believe him the first time. This video is built on the assumption that you have already tried the patient, understanding approach. You have already waited. You have already given space. And you are still sitting with "not ready." And if that is you, I want to know what version of this you are living. Are you waiting for someone to work through his own patterns? Are you in a situation where he is ready, just not for commitment with you? Or have you realized that the cost of waiting is higher than what you are willing to accept? The comment section below is where honest conversations happen on this channel. Drop what you are actually dealing with. No judgment. Just recognition. Next week, we are talking about what actually happens to your attachment system when you spend months waiting for someone to be ready, and what it takes to recalibrate it back to healthy. So if that lands for you, you know what to do. If content like this actually lands, if it stays with you after you close the video, subscribe. Because this is what we do here. We do not just validate your experience. We map the psychology underneath it, and we give you the framework to understand what it means. Thank you for watching. See you next week.